how can you have greater energy flow in your business? If you run your company, you're an entrepreneur, you're a founder, business owner, then you know that energy is everything. Energy yields productivity, helps you to have new clients on board, supports you with getting great investments, helps you to have that flow and creativity and joy and innovation. Yet sometimes, as you have probably experienced, you get overwhelmed, maybe even close to burnout. You don't feel as inspired, and all of this leaks into the business and decreases the results and outcomes that you're getting. Throughout running my own company, I've realized that if I'm able to master this energy flow, everything is easier. I enjoy the process, I get better results, my productivity goes through the roof, I attract more clients, my writing flows when I write content, etc., etc. There's so many benefits from being able to master this energy flow. Let's look today at the 3 core pillars of energy flow within your company. This comes from this book that I've mentioned several times called The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. If you haven't read the book yet, you must have heard me mention it several times. This is one of the most powerful books I have read when it comes to conscious leadership and to leading your company, your own business, and being a leader with this greater level of consciousness, and also being able to master this energy flow I'm talking about. So these 3 core pillars are firstly energy management. Energy management is a skill and it really comes from managing your energy in the same way that you sometimes manage your finances or you manage your time. If we look at time management, very often we do things like time blocking and evaluating where you're spending your time through time tracking, and then you are able to create this sort of matrix of how you spend your time. Now, if you've done this, you probably realize it works up to a certain point, because time management on its own doesn't take into account energy management. So you might have time blocked your whole calendar, and the day that you've planned to do a certain task or activity, your energy is just in a totally different place. Maybe you're in a more creative mood and want to do something fun and you've blocked in the finance block. Or maybe it's the opposite. You've blocked a very creative, fun activity. You're in your mood for something really structured. So if you're only using time management, you're lacking the benefits of energy management. So how can you manage your energy effectively? Some of them are the core basics. You know this, you've heard this many times before. Things like exercising and getting a good night's sleep go a very long way. This is why they are classics. But this isn't the only thing. Those are fundamental pillars. First of all, let's say one thing once and for all. If you're not in track and in tune with your sleep, exercise, and nutrition, this is a good place to start when it comes to managing your own energy. These all have a tremendous impact both on how much inflammation there's in the body, how creatively you can think, how much energy you have simply to deliver your work. So these are all absolutely fundamental. Another important aspect is looking at activities that fuel you versus that drain you, and how much time are you spending on the activities that genuinely fuel you. And if you're spending a lot on activities that drain you, a lot of your time on activities that drain you, then maybe thinking, how can you shift your perspective around them and make them feel a little lighter, a little easier, and enjoy them a bit more? I know it can be a challenge, but if you're able to find some enjoyment in that process, it will take less of a toll on your own energy. Other important aspects when it comes to energy management per se are things to consider, like your environment. What environment are you working from? Are you always working on your own from home and you're a very extroverted person? Or are you always out and about and seeing a lot of people, but you need your inner space and silence to recharge? Do you work from noisy cafes or from a quiet library? The environment that you're in has a huge impact, both your physical environment, but also your peer group and the people you spend time with. This has a huge impact on how you feel and your own energy, and the information you consume. If you're plugged in 24/7 to the news or to some form of media that maybe is a bit heavy or intense or a bit draining, this will have an impact on your energy. Energy management, when I said it was a skill, it's really this skill to be able to listen to yourself, tune in and see what drains you overall. This type of media, this information, this way of spending your time, this specific food, and what fuels you and refills your battery. If you really listen to that inner flow of energy, then you will notice that certain things, people, circumstances, environments, activities make you feel differently within and drain you and feel heavy. Often there's a sense of heaviness, whereas others feel light. Now, of course, you might not be able to totally stop doing certain activities. It might still be things you need to do that you find a bit draining, but then it might be a matter of shifting your perspective or finding some form of joy or lightness within that process. It's so interesting, really, that we are able to monitor our energy levels, and yet we often forget to do so. And when we forget to really tune in to how we're feeling energetically and then in terms of inspiration and joy, when we forget about our ability to do this, this is when we're at greater risk for things like burnout or depression, because we're not listening. And what I often hear when I talk with people who are on the verge of burnout, people who have experienced burnout, is they suddenly woke up one day and thought, how did I get here? How did I feel in this state of total depletion and total lack of energy? Weren't there signs along the way? Yes, there were, but we weren't listening, we weren't tuning in. And this is why it's so important to be calibrating your energy as you go along so that you can prevent something like burnout or just falling sick. Sometimes you might just be sick for 2 weeks. There are signs along the way, but if you're not listening, then it will go that way. So this is the first pillar when it comes to having a great energy flow in your own business, is having yourself this great ability to manage energy. The second pillar is coherence. And coherence are things like keeping your commitments. When you say you'll do something, following through with it. Something that really breaks the energy flow in the business is breaches of commitments, or things like gossip and changing the perspective or concepts and not discussing it thoroughly with other people. So if you break a promise, for instance, this will affect the energy flow. The way you can remedy this is by having a radically honest conversation with the other person or within the group to clear the air. This is why sometimes in businesses, especially large organizations, you can feel a sort of staleness. There's a lack of psychological safety. People can't quite open up. They're scared of being judged. All of this is blocked. This is where the energy is not flowing, because people aren't free to open up and brainstorm and share ideas, because there's this fear that they'll be judged by their peers, because people are gossiping or people are not holding their commitments. People say they'll do something, then they don't. This is a lack of coherence. Once more, if you're in tune with energy flow, not just in your own energy management, but within the company, you will notice this immediately. You will see that people are tense, on edge, stressed, snapping at each other, and you will feel this is not a nice environment to work in, for example, or to support if you're working with them as a client. And you can shift that. The way to shift it is radical honesty. Let's look what's happening here, what's going on behind the scenes that's getting in the way of this coherence, and what can we make amends to? What were some of the promises that were broken? What were some of the commitments that we made and that we breached? How can we talk about this to liberate the air? And obviously practices such as gossip are to be avoided. This goes without saying. And when you see yourself taking part in gossip or hear people taking part in gossip, then avoiding that, because all of this breaks the energy flow. People then don't feel safe and confident that they can open up, that they can share, because they feel that they might be on the receiving end of gossip also. This is the second pillar, coherence. And the third pillar is alignment. And this is when what you think and what you say and what you do is all aligned, and it's all aligned towards a clear purpose, direction, and alignment with your values. If the values in your own business are connection or curiosity, then what are you doing in your business that is linked to connecting deeply with others or being curious and always learning? If you're not aligned with those values, or if you're not aligned with that clear purpose, why you're doing what you're doing, why is the company even there? What is the purpose and mission and vision of the company? If you're not aligned with these, this will also block the energy flow. So for instance, if the purpose of your company is directly tied to sustainability in the world and really helping the climate crisis, and then if you work with a client that's known to have high pollution and doesn't care at all about CO2 emissions or sustainability, there's a total lack of alignment. They can still be a great client in terms of finance, for example, but this won't be satisfying and it won't feel right, and it'll block the energy because you will see that it is not aligned with some of the core values of the companies. So these are three core pillars when it comes to mastering the energy flow within the business. The first one is energy management, managing your own energy, everything from physiological energy, nutrition, exercise, sleep, but also activities in terms of drains and fuels, and the environment, other people, circumstances, what you consume, and just having this inner radar when it comes to your own energy management. The second pillar is coherence, and this is being very mindful of the commitments, the agreements, the promises made within the business, and making sure that you follow through on all of these commitments and agreements so that the energy can flow. And the last pillar is alignment. And this is when you are in tune and aligned with your values and the direction and vision and purpose of your business. Hope this episode has been useful for you. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe on YouTube or on Spotify. Leave a comment, share with a friend or family member. I read each and every comment and review, and they mean the world to me and help the show to grow. So if you want more episodes such as these, please engage, participate, leave a comment. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wishing you an amazing day ahead, and see you in the next episode.